Hello and welcome back to the shop. In my continuing struggle to get this rocket truck to go in a straight line, I've tried various things such as putting bicycle inner tubes around the hard plastic wheels, but I've had a suggestion in the comments to try a wing. I'm not altogether sure that this is going to work, but it was quick and easy to make from the outer skin of an old microwave, so I think it's worth giving it a try. As I've removed the thicker steel plate which used to live here in order to increase the weight of the thing, I'm happy to make this in steel because I want that weight back, or at least some of it. Here's the truck with the finished wing fitted. I think it's a little lighter than the steel plate it replaces, so I might have to add ballast. And there's another concern. On its last run, this thing was spinning when it smashed sideways into the curb, and I didn't realise till I came to fit the wing that it's bent the rearmost axle. It may turn out that I'm able to pull these jewellies off the end, get the axle out and straighten it. If not, that poses something of a problem because in development you're supposed to make only one change at a time, and my change was to be the wing. If I'm forced to run this with this set of wheels here and delete these wheels because the axle's bent, that's going to affect the weight. At this point I took the truck out for a run. Many of you will have already seen the footage. What happened was that the back of the truck came off the ground under acceleration, it lost its rear axle and then tumbled to a standstill. When I took the truck out to test the new wing, the thrust from this enormous motor lifted the rear end temporarily off the ground, and the truck dumped its back axle. Obviously that wasn't a valid test. What I should do now is go back out with the rear axle properly fixed in position and run the test again, plastic wheels and Jeff's wing. However, I can't do that because of the virus, so I'm going to go ahead and fit rubber tyres to this thing. The axles on these Dicky Toys trucks sit in slots, which determine of course the position of that axle. Here's the rear end of the truck fitted with front wheels from Formula 1 cars. As you can see, I've arranged matters so that the whole axle turns when the wheels turn. I've done this deliberately for two reasons. I want the rocket to have to do the work of spinning up these heavy 6mm axles, and also if the wheels are rigid relative to each other, it does make it harder for the thing to turn, and we're trying to keep it in a straight line here. However, there is one small problem. I don't like this huge gap between these wheels. The wheels are actually mounted in their original locations, it's just that the diameter is smaller. So I'm going to move that frontmost axle back by about 20mm. Yes, that looks more like it to me. They're about the right distance apart, and this wheel covers the old hole, so there's no ugly hole visible in the chassis. And what about the front? Well, we have a choice. Here you see the truck with Formula 1 tyres, so they're just as wide as the rears, which isn't very hot roddy. Or we have these narrower wheels from my Traxxas Slash. I think I'll try them on. In order to fit the Traxxas wheels and have them spin freely on their shaft, I'm going to drill out these FTX Outback plastic wheel hexes to the right size for that threaded bar. And here we are with the Traxxas wheels fitted. I think I prefer this look, with the front wheels being narrower than the rears. So I think I'll keep it like this, despite the Traxxas wheels' annoying off-road tread pattern. While I want the rear wheels to offer a fair amount of drag to try and slow this thing down a bit, it does have a tendency to lift its butt off the ground, so I want the front wheels to spin very, very freely to help counter that. So what I've done is put a fixed axle in, and using bushes, I've got reasonably free spinning front wheels. And the fact that these wheels are smaller has given the truck a nice low stance, which I like. This old truck really is getting fairly battered, It took that last cartwheel along the road very well. In fact, it's ready to try another run. It's off the trailer and ready to go, so this is Rocket Truck with Traxxas / front wheels and Formula 1 rear wheels. Wow, it worked! That was easily the best run to date. The truck tracked straight and true for the whole of its acceleration period and then did veer off course and hit the curb. Unfortunately, camera 3 failed to record that along with the end of the run because I left it at home. I forgot it. So, let's go back. This disused road actually still does have faint white lines, and you can see I've set the rocket truck up to be completely aligned along the centre. The rocket truck's set up and ready to go, but unfortunately the roadway's blocked. There's a couple of idiots parked up in some sort of ancient 1970s supercars. I'm going to zoom in and turn up the gain on the mic to see if we can hear how long they're going to be there.
Would you like some cannabis?
Yes, please.
Right.
I'm sure I can put it back together. I'm pleased to say that the cab is back in one piece. The internal heat shield had popped out. When the rocket has finished burning, it sends a vicious blast of hot gas through here. So this is a thicker sheet of aluminium than the lining on the rest of the body, designed to deflect that out and downwards. It's showing some battle scars. The heat has buckled the paint without burning through all the aluminium heat shields within. But the real damage was done to the chassis. On the first run with rubber tyres, this thing shot off straight as an arrow, as you saw. Then, once past both cameras, it hit something, I think. For some reason it abruptly veered off and smashed into the curb. At the time I didn't notice that this had cracked one side of the chassis. Straight down there, that twig is jammed in the bottom of the crack. Because of the crack, run 2 went awry. The axle was actually pointing very slightly to the left, and as you saw, we hit the curb again. Then, for the third run, I added this stick which actually deflected the steering very, very slightly to the right, and we hit the curb again. The end result is that this chassis could do with some repair. In fact, I've just realised that this left-hand chassis leg is entirely broken. I'll get that sorted out. Here's the chassis seen from underneath after repair. I've just stuck a plate on either side and one along the top for good measure. The truck's reassembled and ready to go. I've shimmed the front axle so it goes as straight as I possibly can get it, and I think it's about as ready to go again as it ever will be. I bought 5 rocket motors for this video. We've got 2 left, the one that's in the truck and the spare you see sitting on the bench. Let's go and use them up. Okay, we've got 2 motors left. Let's get it off the trailer and set up. For what I think is the first time ever, it did a full successful run and ended up standing on its own wheels. If you've watched this series from the beginning, I very much hope that you share in my pleasure at having watched this thing going from a crazy skidding lunatic to what I wanted, something that shoots along very fast in a straight line and eventually trundles to a stop. What's next for this rocket truck? Well, I have a powerful desire to put a GoPro on it facing backwards, behind the cab, looking out between the legs of the wing over the rocket under acceleration. But before I run it again, there is one little job to do. I need to upgrade the front axle from 4 to 5 millimeters in thickness, because when I started out on these 2 runs, it certainly didn't have this much negative camber. The rocket truck will ride again, and I very much hope that you'll agree to be there to watch it. For now, thanks for watching.